Hi, everybody. So, this is long overdue. Um, it was on February 14th on my Instagram that I announced that I had some big news that I wanted to share with everyone. So, if you're following my Instagram, then you know that I created this account because of mm, some health issues that I've been having. Specifically, I started this new Instagram account back in September, and it was about uh, 2 months after my ER visit, which is which was what made me want to create this account so that I can journal and chronicle my journey to better health and to share the challenges and the struggles with getting diagnosis and everything that I'm doing to try to better my health. And not just my physical health, not just my gut health, but also my emotional health and spiritual health to grow and be the healthiest I can be in all aspects. So, um, pardon the glare in my eye glasses. I can't see without them, so I can't take them off. And I've tried everywhere I can in the house to try to get the best lighting on this. And I'm in my closet doing this because I feel weird sitting in my room, and I know that my kids can hear me recording myself. It's kind of weird, but so if you're following my Instagram, then you know back in July um, last year, I had to go to the ER. And I went to the ER with some symptoms that I've had before in the past, issues that I have dealt with and have landed me in the ER before, but this time was a little different. So, in addition to the tenderness on my temple area, really tender, couldn't even touch it, pressure, pain, I had lightheadedness. I was a little dizzy. I was nauseous, which I didn't have before, and I had blurry vision. Um, I had been dealing with fatigue also and stuff, so it was a combination of everything, and I wasn't feeling right, so I thought I'll just go get checked. In the ER, the doctor, of course, ordered a CT scan. It was one of the first things he did, and he comes back and tells me that they saw something in the CT, some fluid, and looked like a lesion, but it wasn't very clear. So he was sending me to get an MRI to get a better look. And this was kind of weird for me. I wasn't worried or scared or anything, but it was a little shocking because I've had CT scans in the past many times when I've had migraines or anything, issues that I've had in the past that I've had CTs, and everything is normal. Same with EKGs, everything. They always say everything's normal, your heart is good, you're healthy, but I was still having symptoms. I was still having these issues. So, um, when he came back and said, "Oh, we saw something, and we're gonna go and send you for an MRI to get a better look," I was like, "Wow." At first, my first instinct, my first thought was, I wonder if he has the right patient. I wonder if he's looking at the right chart. It didn't sound like me. I always got everything's good, everything's normal. So he gets that done, and he says, yes, there is fluid and there is a lesion. So I need you to go to your primary, follow up with your primary, and get seen by him, and he should refer you to a neurosurgeon to get better diagnosis and all that. Okay, so no big deal. I'm not worried. I go to my primary. He sends me, because I'm HMO, I have to wait for a referral. That took a while because this was a new primary doctor for me. I hadn't seen him yet. And so I only went to see him as a follow up from the ER visit. But they were really good at getting me in right away to see the primary. He puts in the referral for the neurosurgeon. I go see the neurosurgeon, and he orders some more MRIs. Excuse me. He orders more MRIs because he was doing a screening. He wanted to make sure that I didn't have a pending stroke, I didn't have an aneurysm, or anything serious going on that was causing my symptoms. Um, so he does that, and those scans come back okay. There was no stroke or anything like that. And then he tells me, he goes into detail about where the lesion is located, what kind of surgery would be needed if there was, well, what he was saying was, okay, let's do additional scans, MRIs, in about 3 months to compare to the scans that were done, the MRI that was done in the ER, to see if there's any change, meaning if there was any growth. So if there wasn't any growth, he said there wouldn't be anything really to worry about. They would monitor it probably 6 months or a year, get more scans done. But if there was any change, if it had grown, and it was pretty small, the MRI that I had done initially at the ER, the lesion measured 1.5 centimeters by 2 something, so it was pretty small. And he said if there was any growth, then that would be something that we would have to take more seriously. It would probably need surgery because of where it was located. And it was in the sphenoid wing, which is, it's hard. You'll have to look that up. Or I can go into detail more on future videos and elaborate more on that. The only thing scary about that was if I had to have surgery, it would be major surgery, meaning I would have to have general anesthesia. And I don't do very good with anesthesia. It's very hard to wake me up. Even when I had my root canal, they couldn't wake me up. The doctor was just about to call 911 because I wasn't coming out of the anesthesia from the root canal when I started to come out of the anesthesia. And so I don't do very well with that. It's hard to wake up. So that was a little scary, knowing that I might have to have surgery, major surgery. And then the other thing was, he was telling me the 2 different ways that he could remove it. One would be go through my sinus, through my nasal cavity in there and go back in there, but it was risky. And he told me a little bit about the complications and risk factors doing it that way. And then the other would be, of course, to cut open my skull. I think on this side, I can't remember. But the one thing that he told me that was not a side effect, like a complication from that type of surgery, and where it was located, was some memory loss. That kind of scared me, of all things. That and having to possibly have to go under general anesthesia. So I went and had the scans done again on July 10th. And I also had to go to a rheumatologist because of some of my other symptoms that didn't have anything to do with the head lesion or anything like that. Ongoing things that I've had. And I've had not very good luck with doctors because they just want to take care of your symptoms. They want to treat your symptoms and not get to the underlying root of what is causing your issues. They don't want to heal you. They don't want to cure you. And they don't necessarily get to a diagnosis. They just say, well, you have this, you have inflammation, you have, all these symptoms. We can treat your symptoms to make your life more comfortable, to make your everyday, easier for you. But that's not why I go to the doctor. For me personally, I don't even take Tylenol. So I go to the doctor because I want to find out what is causing it, get to the root problem so I can address that issue. So I do go back in July for repeat MRIs to see if there was any growth, any change. I also went to the rheumatologist who ordered a bunch of lab work. And the rheumatologist was telling me I have the symptoms of a couple of different autoimmune diseases, and the lab work would definitely pinpoint what they were. She knew I had an autoimmune disease or disorder, but wasn't completely sure which ones I had. And she also tells me, based on the lab work that she got from my primary, which still showed an elevated ESR, even though I was on prednisone, a steroid. So she was concerned, saying that she was also going to screen me for blood cancers. So that was another issue. And, you know, those of you who do know me, I have a very strong faith, and I've been through a lot of stuff. So for me, it's just praying and trusting in Him. He's brought me through so much, so much, and He's performed miracles in my life. So I knew He wasn't going to leave me alone, and I knew He was going to get me through this too. So it was just a matter of getting the diagnosis and finding out what it was, so that I can heal myself and get better. So July 10th, I had the appointment for the MRI, and I went and got the lab work done. A week before, December 29th, it was a Sunday, I was at church, and one of my favorite ministers had officiated service, and I asked him if he would pray for me. And I ended up getting not just prayed for, but I was anointed with oil on that day. And so I get the results for the MRI a few weeks ago. It was actually February 14th when I had announced the big news. I was still waiting for a call from the doctor, so I didn't want to say anything. And I knew that I wanted to share this news by means of a video. I knew I didn't want to make a blog or write it out in text. I wanted to come on here and create a video to talk about this. So, first of all, just to let you know, the lesion that I had is not something that just something in your head like that or in your brain. And mine was not in my brain; it was between my skull and my brain. Yeah, it's more the bony part, and so it's not something that just goes away on its own. It either stays dormant, grows very slowly, or it could be something aggressive, meaning it could have been malignant or a tumor, something more serious, but it's not something that just goes away on its own. So I get the results of the MRI comparison, and there's nothing there. It's gone, completely gone. There's no fluid. There's no sign of a lesion. The scan was completely normal. And that was another miracle in my life. He did that. He healed me. And He took that away. And because it could have been serious. And He took it away. And He healed me. And then the blood work came back, and no blood cancer, which she was thinking that I had based on my symptoms. And that came back normal. There was no blood cancer. But I finally got some diagnosis, some answers. So I do have autoimmune disease or disorders, whichever you want to call it. I tested positive for 2, and I have tested on 1 or 2 markers positive for another. So the first one that I do have for sure is called Polymyalgia rheumatica, and I will write it down. I'll type it down there because it's kind of complicated. And that, so autoimmune is, it's your own body attacking itself, basically. So with polymyalgia rheumatica, it affects my mainly my shoulders, my arms, my what do you call it? Hip area, so the pelvic floor, and it can go into your legs. It's quite achy, painful, stiff. It got to the point I couldn't carry my grandbaby because my arms hurt so much. I couldn't do a lot of things with my arms. That was the most painful. I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't lay on my side because my arms hurt so bad. So that's one thing. And the other one is Sjogren's syndrome. And Sjogren's syndrome is, again, an autoimmune disease or disorder that I tested positive for as well. And of course, with all of these, the first thing they want to do is put me on a steroid, and long term, like a year at least, they said, maybe 2 years. And I'm like, no, not happening. And so they put me on 15 milligrams to start, and I was doing it. But one of the side effects that I got from it is this ringing in my ears, which is driving me nuts. I still have it. I'm weaning myself off of it. I'm gonna get off this prednisone because all it does is help inflammation. It's not addressing these autoimmune. It's not helping my immune system. It's not healing me. All it is an anti-inflammatory. All it does is help the symptom of the inflammation, which is causing some pain. But I can do it naturally, and with other ways. I don't need to have that long term, and it's not worth the side effects, which some are permanent. So I'm weaning myself off of that. And Sjogren's syndrome is, it affects, I'm still learning on it, and I'm going to post more information about it, but it causes dryness. It affects the eyes. It affects fatigue. It causes fatigue. It affects the dryness of your eyes, your mouth. It can cause difficulty swallowing. And one of the things that they monitor someone with who has Sjogren's syndrome is some of the patients end up having lymphoma. So that's why you have to be closely monitored, and I guess they'll be doing additional blood work, which I did test positive for those. And I also have a marker that came back positive for lupus. So I'm going to go back to get more blood work in about 2 more weeks to compare and see. And I think I know that's one of the things that they do. They monitor your blood, your levels and things. So especially with Sjogren's, because they want to make sure that I don't end up being one of those patients that end up with lymphoma. So that's the update. That's what I'm dealing with. And I've already become my own advocate and taking things into my own hands. This is my body. It's my health. And there's functional medicine. I went to a seminar on functional medicine, and I'll share that with you all. I'm going to have a one-on-one consultation with one of the physicians and go over and get screened properly for whatever and find out if I have an underlying food allergy or what foods are triggering these autoimmune issues that I'm having. So when you have autoimmune, one of the things that commonalities with all of these autoimmune disorders or diseases is inflammation, excess inflammation in the body, which causes which doesn't, well, does cause a lot of these issues and is like one of the components that they all have in common. So if I can control the inflammation and get to that and heal my gut, that's going to be huge. So already I have seen a difference. I've taken matters into my own hands. If you're following me, you know that I've started walking. I started IF again, intermittent fasting. And a lot of the reading that I've done and research that I've been doing on autoimmune. One of the best things you can do is intermittent fasting, which allows your body time to absorb and deal with what you're eating and eating the healthiest. So I'm doing intermittent fasting. I cut out all sugar, and that's been huge. And I know that for me personally, I believe, because I don't even take Tylenol, so I haven't been consistent every single day taking the prednisone. That's only because I'm not in the habit of taking medication every day. So there are days when I've skipped. So I don't think it's the prednisone that's made the huge difference. I know it's helped probably, but I think cutting out the sugar, doing the intermittent fasting again, um, you know, applying that and making that my part of my lifestyle now has made a huge difference. I'm able to lay on my side. My arms are not as painful anymore. Um, but I really don't like the prednisone because it's causing really bad insomnia. Um, that's one of the big things. The ringing in my ears. Um, so with Sjogren's, the blurry vision. So I'm waiting for a referral to the ophthalmologist. That's another thing I have to take care of. Um, but I know that, and walking, and I'm picking up my pace. So I feel really good. I'm following an AIP protocol diet or foods lifestyle. I'm incorporating that into my lifestyle as well. So that means I'm cutting out all the autoimmune, it's an autoimmune protocol diet. So I have to eliminate a lot of foods that cause inflammation. Dairy is one, nightshade, vegetables, tomatoes is huge. Rice, no bread, no dairy. There's a long list of things, and I've been following that, and I've noticed already a big change, a big difference. I still get tired here and there, but um, I'm pushing myself. I want to heal. I want to get better, and I want to do it as naturally as I possibly can. So I'm going to be sharing all of that with you, recipes, things that I'm doing, um, how it's affecting me, supplements that I'm using. There's a whole long list, but I'll get into that later, and I'll be sharing it on my Instagram. So if you want to follow along, if you want to see how I'm getting better, what things are working for me and what are not, and if you are dealing with either of these issues, lupus, Sjogren syndrome, polymyalgia rheumatica, or similar autoimmune disorders or diseases, share with me what's working for you, and what's helping, and any links that maybe I could um, go and follow and read up on. There are 3 doctors that I'm following and that are helping me, and I've been reading a lot of videos on. So I'll do that on a follow-up. I just wanted to share this, for me, great news that it's gone, that God answered my prayers and took that away, and I don't have to worry about that or having major surgery, but finally getting some answers and having a diagnosis and know where to go from there. So I'll be sharing that with you. If you want to follow along, that'd be great. And I want to thank everyone who was reaching out to me, those who have been praying for me, who have had positive thoughts and been there for me. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to sharing all of this with all of you. So see you in the next video.